Stupid, 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 stupid Charlotte. I kept scolding and mocking myself as I drove back toward the Mooncrest pack. Charlotte? Lexi called my name worriedly. Don't worry about me, Lexi. I just felt stupid for hoping he'd ever change. While in truth, I had forgotten that it's Sofia he's in love with, I said coldly. I've told you to forget about him, Lexi said helplessly. After tonight, I will forget about him. I won't hope anymore. It was idiotic for me to let him affect my emotions. But not anymore. I won't let him hurt me anymore. I won't fall for his sorrowful act in the future. He's with Sofia now and has nothing to do with me anymore, I said in resolution. Even though I was still hurt by the scene of Hayden in Sofia's room, comforting her gently. That's good. I don't want you to get hurt by him anymore, Lexi said quietly. I sighed. Thanks for worrying about me, Lexi. Hey, I'm your wolf, of course. I'll worry about you as you worry about me too, she said. I laughed softly. Yes, Lexi and I. We were one. We'll worry and take care of each other. We could always rely on each other. She was the only one who knew all my most inner thoughts and feelings. That thought lifted my mood a bit, but I was still emotional. I drove slowly while listening to the radio when suddenly the road was blocked by many people. I scowled. Did Mila still want to create trouble for me? Did she ask her pack members to take revenge on me? I snorted. Did they think they could defeat me? Had Mila forgotten about the last fight I had with them? Okay. I admitted that I ended up being hurt and defeated because of the wolfsbane. But I knew she had no more wolf and in her hands now. Wolfsbane was kind of difficult to get because it was dangerous for werewolves. Each pack was only allowed to have a certain amount given by the Alpha King. Mostly those who were in charge of torturing prisoners had wolfsbane ready, and I was sure Mila had used up all she had the last time she tried to kill me. I found her laughable to resort to the same strategy, getting her pack members to surround and fight me. Even though I was alone now, with no Olivia accompanying me, I was still a strong female alpha, and Lexi was the strongest female wolf I had ever known. No way we would be defeated by them. I got off the car, ready to fight with them, as there was nothing else I could do. My way was blocked, and the only thing to get out of this situation and return to the Mooncrest pack was to fight them and clear the path. I looked at the many werewolves still in their human forms, while looking at me with vicious looks, as if I was their prey. But their scents caught me by surprise. Not the Red Claw Pack members. They were rogues. Damn it! Rogues were more challenging to handle. They were uncontrollable and more savage than those who belonged in a pack. Wow, I can't believe that we actually caught the legendary female alpha, one of them said with an evil grin. I raised an eyebrow at him. You know me and yet still wish to fight me? You know us, rogues. If we can kill the alpha of the Mooncrest pack, then it'll be the best for us. Another one joined in with a more malicious grin. They all shifted without warning, catching me by surprise, but I wasn't some weak she-wolf. I quickly shifted, and they began attacking Lexi and me without mercy. I was confident I could defeat them, but my emotions were not stable at the moment, so my movements were not as fast as I wanted them to be. Coupled with the many numbers of them, I found it difficult to defeat them. Charlotte, focus, Lexi warned me. I tried to focus, but that image of Hayden with Sofia popped into my mind again and distracted me, making me unable to maximize the skills I had. They attacked me from all directions and managed to inflict injuries on me and Lexi. They were ruthless, attacking without mercy. Fortunately, Lexi was still able to dodge and wounded some of them. When the rogues got wounded, they became even more vicious. Their movements became more savage, trying to bite Lexi from all directions, nearly defeating us. Lexi managed to jump further back and put some distance between us and the rogues. I was in pain both mentally and physically after that intense fight. But the pain brought me back to reality. I shouldn't let my emotions affect me. Now I had put Lexi and myself in danger. I slapped myself mentally to wake myself up from being distracted by thoughts of Hayden. Now that I was finally awake, I looked at the rogues and unleashed my alpha aura. The rogue felt the shift in my behavior and condition, and I saw fear flash in the eyes of some of them. I snarled at them, showing them I was now ready to defeat them. But then we heard a loud growl, and sensed a new wolf looking at us with a sharp gaze. We all looked in the direction where the growl had come from, and all Lexi and I could see was a pair of piercing silver eyes. This new wolf that just came was shrouded in shadow. He looked dark, mysterious, and dangerous, especially when all we could see was its silver eyes. The wolf walked slowly toward us as he snarled at the rogues. As he came into view, I was entranced by his appearance. He was huge, even bigger than most alpha wolves, with what I thought of as black fur. But when the light shone on him, I realized his fur was navy blue, nearly as dark as black. Midnight blue, I thought to myself. I thought Rhett was the most beautiful wolf I had ever seen, but this wolf, with his beautiful, piercing silver eyes, was even more beautiful. Lexi began to get excited and was prancing around in my mind. Then I caught a scent as refreshing and calming as the sea breeze from the wolf. My eyes widened in an instant. That special scent. He couldn't be. Mate? Lexi exclaimed excitedly. Charlotte, he's our mate. He's our second chance mate. I saw the wolf sniff the air, and his silver eyes pierced deeply into mine, sending an electric jolt through my body. He knew. He must have caught a unique scent from me, too. He knew that I was his mate. Before I could do anything or knew what was happening, that mysterious mate of mine had already lunged toward the rogues. He was powerful. Every movement was precise, and none of his moves were useless. He attacked all the vital points of the rogues, and his speed was incredible. Even the rogues had no time to react to his sudden attack. I felt bewitched by him. Although he was brutal, I felt his movements were somewhat graceful. The way he jumped, the way he pounced toward them, and the way he slashed and bit the rogues were kinda elegant. And each time he moved, his fur glistened. The light caught the shiny blue color of his fur. It seemed silly, but his fur was shiny and silky, like those models' hair in shampoo commercials. I had a sudden urge to run my hands along his fur, wanting to feel the softness and smooth texture. I could do nothing except stare at him in amazement as he bit, slashed, and even tore the limbs of all the rogues, defeating them in no time. It was a gory and bloody scene, yet I didn't feel afraid. My gaze was locked on my beautiful midnight blue mate. Mate is super powerful, Lexi purred in my mind. She had never praised Rhett until she purred, so it was obvious this second chance mate of ours was way more mesmerizing than Rhett in her mind. She wasn't the only one thinking that way. I thought the same way too. He was just too beautiful beyond words. No other wolves could compare to him, not even Rhett, who I used to think was the most beautiful wolf. I wanted to shift back to my human form and touch him. I wanted him to shift back to his human form too, so I could see what he looked like or who he was. I wanted to ask him questions. I wanted to converse with him. I wanted to know everything about this mysterious new mate of mine. But he, unfortunately, seemed to have a different idea than mine. Standing huge and tall amongst the corpses of the rogues, looking majestic with no wounds at all, he just spared me a glance and then started to run away, disappearing from our sight into the night. I was shocked when I heard Hayden scolding Sofia instead of Olivia, and I wasn't the only one feeling that way. Livy was so shocked that her mouth hung open as she stared at Hayden, while Sofia. My lips curled into a smug and satisfied smile, looking at her wide eyes filled with shock and disbelief. She must find it hard to believe that her weak act didn't work anymore. Instead, it annoyed him. The table had turned, Sofia. You used to be the one who smiled smugly and triumphantly every time Hayden scolded me. But now it was your turn to feel his irritation. Sofia saw my smile and looked at me viciously, but I just shrugged. I wasn't afraid of her. What could she do except pretend to be weak and shed tears? Sofia, you go back to the pack first. There's something I need to talk to Charlotte about, Hayden told her without looking at her. But we haven't bought all the things Mila wants, she said in a small voice. Go back now, Hayden said sternly, still keeping his gaze on me instead of Sofia, and I saw Sofia's expression turn into one of irritation. She dared to show that kind of expression because Hayden wasn't looking at her. Okay, I'll tell her you have something important to do and can't accompany me anymore. I'll just go with Mila next time if she still wants the rest of the stuff on her list, she said aggrievedly. Oh, wow. She could change her expression and tone so fast. I had to admit her acting skill was superb. And her words. It made her seem so understanding. She even indirectly said she would lie to Mila about why Hayden couldn't accompany her. Only I knew she would tell Mila the distorted truth of her version, that I was seducing Hayden and wouldn't let Hayden go, so he had no choice but to send Sofia back first. But my smugness only lasted a few minutes, as I thought Hayden wasn't annoyed at Sofia, but at me because I didn't show him any reactions. He must have unintentionally scolded Sofia because of his annoyance toward me, not because he was sick of Sofia acting weak. This somehow irritated me. How could I keep forgetting how much he loved Sofia? He wouldn't ever scold her, no matter what. This time, it was only because he was peeved at me. Maybe when he returned to the Red Claw Pack later, he would apologize to Sofia for lashing out at her. Then I remembered his words. He wanted to talk to me. For what? Most probably, he would insult me for not keeping Olivia in line. I didn't want to talk to him at all, especially if it was only to insult me. So I took Livy's hand and pulled her toward the store's exit. Charlotte, he growled, yet I still kept walking. If you dare to leave, I will hurt and destroy Nathaniel, he snarled. Livy stopped in her track, causing me to stop walking too. Why is he mentioning Nate? Why does he want to hurt and destroy Nate? Livy asked me with confusion. I didn't want to tell her the reason in front of Hayden, because then my lie would be exposed. So I just made a face at her. Hayden came to us and grabbed my wrist forcefully. You lied to me, didn't you, Charlotte? He growled. He found out that Nate wasn't my mate? How? I stayed quiet and pretended not to know what he was talking about. Nathaniel is not your second chance mate, is he? He insisted on knowing the truth right there and then. I pursed my lips, still not wanting to answer him. He already knew the answer. Why did he still insist on asking me about it? Ha! You don't even dare to tell me the truth, he sneered. At least now I know you were lying about him being your second chance mate. So, I raised my chin and asked him arrogantly. So what if he knew Nate wasn't my second chance mate? What could he do about it? Why did you lie to me, Charlotte? He asked, with narrowed eyes. So you wouldn't bug me anymore, I answered in my mind. To keep me away from you? To get rid of me? Is that why you lied, Charlotte? His grip on my wrist tightened, which made me realize he was still grabbing me. If you already knew the answer, why bother to ask? I asked with irritation as I tried shaking his hand away, only to no avail. Why do you hate me so much, Charlotte? His tone softened. The sudden change in topic and tone caught me off guard, causing me to stop trying to get his hand away from mine. But I quickly regained my senses and sneered. If you still don't know why, then I'm pretty sure you are really stupid. Had he forgotten how he treated me while we were married? Charlotte. He turned livid once again, but I stared straight back at him, showing him that I wasn't afraid or going to back down. You insulted me so often, but can't take just one insult? I smirked tauntingly at him. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Once his eyes opened again, the fury in his eyes was gone. I'd seen him do this a few times when he was angry at me after we had unmated. Was he afraid of causing scenes in front of so many onlookers, which was why he calmed himself down? I sneered in my mind. He cared about his reputation, but not mine. I still remember how he didn't do anything when I was his Luna, and was treated as an Omega by his family and pack members. That was something I would never forget for the rest of my life. I tried shaking his hand off again, but his grip only tightened even more, each time I did it. How did you know Nate isn't my second chance mate? I blurred out of annoyance. He raised an eyebrow at me. You seem not to know yourself, Charlotte. This time I was the one raising my eyebrow at him. What did he mean by that? How could I not know myself? You don't care about him. When I threatened to hurt and destroy him, you showed no reaction, he said. Only because of that? If he's truly your second chance mate, you wouldn't be so calm. You would be angry and even try to fight me for him, he continued. I furrowed my eyebrows. It wasn't that I didn't care about Nate. Of course I cared about him, but only as a friend, and I knew Kai could take on Rhett, as had been witnessed during their fight in the Red Claw Pack's infirmary, which was why his threat didn't work for me. If Nate sustained severe injuries at the end of their fight, of course, I'd be mad at Hayden. But maybe Hayden was right. I was too calm when he threatened my so-called new mate, who was Nate in his mind. I know you, Charlotte. You always care about your mate. There's no way you would be so calm and not react when someone threatened to hurt your mate. When we were still together and I accidentally cut myself, you were so worried even though it was only a small wound and would heal in no time. How could you be so calm when I threatened to destroy him? The answer is simple, no. He is not your second chance mate. He finally finished speaking his thought. His words rendered me speechless. He was right, and I couldn't deny it. I always cared a lot about my mate. I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to him. Seeing me silent, he tugged my arm. I need to talk to you. He glanced briefly at Livy. Alone, he emphasized the word. Knowing I wouldn't be able to escape today, I decided to give him time to talk to me. Maybe after our talk this time, he wouldn't pester me anymore, or so I prayed. I closed my eyes and took deep breaths to control myself from yelling at him. Hayden, if you are concerned about the rogues or have any other PAX issues you want to discuss, you should talk to my dad or Ethan. I looked at him coldly. Charlotte, you are now the alpha of the Mooncrest Pack. It's your responsibility to discuss the Pack's issues with other alphas. He lectured me harshly, as if I was an irresponsible alpha. Well, hello, bastard Hayden. Welcome back. I've told you before, and I'll tell you again. I do not want to be friends with you, nor do I want to have any interactions with you. I repeated my words, still with the same coldness as before. Charlotte, you are too much. He growled and glared at me. This time I couldn't control my laughter. I laughed out loud right in front of his face, which made him even more livid. I was too much. I thought I was still being nice by allowing him to still drag me and talk to me. Next time I'd be sure to show him what too much really looked like. Charlotte, he growled low, threatening, but I raised my chin haughtily. I wasn't afraid of him. He wouldn't shift and attack me because Rhett would have the heart to hurt me, and he wouldn't dare to hurt me in his human form in front of so many people. He cared about his reputation as the alpha of the Red Claw pack. If he did hurt me now, gossip would spread like wildfire that the alpha of the Red Claw pack attacked his ex-Luna. It would harm not only his reputation, but also the Red Claw pack. I was sure he wouldn't want his pack's reputation to be tarnished just because of me. Don't assume I'm irresponsible just because I don't want to talk to you, I glowered at him. He looked annoyed by my words, and to my surprise, he threw the expensive bracelet onto the ground with so much force, breaking the delicate jadeite into pieces, while growling at me with reddened eyes full of anger. I felt pity for the bracelet. It was exquisite, and he just broke it like it was worth nothing. Somehow I regretted not taking it from him. At least I would treasure it and not treat it like it was nothing. Shar, I heard Olivia's worried voice, and saw her rushing toward us, standing before me as if to protect me from Hayden's wrath. I was touched by her action. She must have been worried and afraid, thinking Hayden would hurt me. If I didn't know how much he cared for his reputation, I would think the same way as Livy when I saw him growling menacingly. I pulled Livy to my back. She was not a match for Hayden, and I didn't want her to get involved in this matter. I was ready to hear his harsh words. However, no words ever came out of his mouth. Instead, he turned around and left silently, but not before I saw the hurtful look on his face. I sneered. That sorrowful act again. It might have worked if I hadn't caught them together in the same room, and he was comforting that bitch of a mistress with so much tenderness. That scene was like a slap to my face that cleared my mind and woke me up from my delusion of thinking Hayden had actually changed. Although I was hurt at that time, now I was thankful to have witnessed such a scene. I wouldn't fall for his sorrowful act anymore. Shar, you okay? Did that bastard hurt you? Livy looked me up and down, checking my body for bruises, and saw my reddened wrist. That bastard! Livy took my hand gently and examined the bruise. Why does he need to keep hurting you whenever you meet? Is he secretly a sadist? I'm so pissed at him. You shouldn't meet with him anymore. I felt laughter bubbling up from my throat and laughed out loud, earning me a glare from Olivia. Livy, why are you so cute? I hugged her and gave her body a squeeze. You care so much about me, but you scolded me at the same time. I was scolding the bastard, not you. Her face flushed from embarrassment. Yeah, but when you told me not to meet him anymore, I felt like you were saying it was my fault for meeting him. I grinned at her. She rolled her eyes and snorted. Now that you mentioned it, it was partly your fault for agreeing to talk to him alone. My lips twitched. She said she wasn't scolding me, but what was she doing now? I shook my head helplessly. This best friend of mine was too blunt, always saying whatever was on her mind. But it made her adorable. Come. I grabbed her hand and pulled her toward another store. Let's continue shopping. But your hand... She stopped me. It's fine. It doesn't hurt anymore. I glanced at the shattered bracelet, thinking of picking it up, but discarded the idea at the second. It was broken beyond repair. There was no point for me to take it. All right, if you say so. She followed me and soon turned excited again as she saw all the beautiful bags displayed in one store. Shar, why did Hayden think that Nate was your second chance mate? She asked as she was paying for her stuff at the cashier. When I accompanied Nate to cure the two bitches of the Red Claw pack, Kai fought with Rhett. Then Hayden asked me what was my relationship with Nate. I blurted out that Nate was my second chance mate. I explained, as the memory of that day came to my mind. Livy's eyes turned around and large. Oh my goddess. Then how did Nate react? He went along with my lie and acted like a loving mate. I reached out and took a few paper bags from the cashier. This girl sure liked to shop a lot. He didn't mind that you used him? Livy looked even more shocked before she grinned. We are so lucky to have a good friend like Nate. If my parents suddenly asked me to find a mate when my destined mate doesn't come along, I'll ask him to pretend to be my boyfriend. I looked at this naive best friend of mine helplessly. She had never fallen in love or had a crush. She didn't even know when a guy liked her. It was lucky that I didn't tell her about Nate's intention to pursue me, or she would gossip and tease Nate about it. I frowned, thinking about her words. Yes, I used Nate and was about to keep using him whenever we met Hayden, but an image of the beautiful midnight blue wolf moving gracefully popped into my mind. I now had a real second chance mate given by the moon goddess. I couldn't possibly use Nate as a shield anymore. Why are you frowning? What's on your mind? Are you feeling guilty for taking advantage of Nate? I rolled my eyes at her. Why did her question sound so ambiguous? It was like I was a cougar who took advantage of innocent boys, but I kind of felt guilty for using Nate, especially after knowing he had a thing for me. I was just thinking of my second chance mate. Now that I know I have one, I couldn't possibly use Nate anymore. Of course, I couldn't tell her about my guilt. She would ask for the reason and if she knew. Poor Nate. He's so mysterious, isn't he? Livy's brows furrowed as she thought about my mate, too. It was so difficult to get any information about him. I have a feeling he doesn't want me. Fear of going through another rejection crept into my mind, making my whole body tremble slightly. I didn't want to go through the pain of rejection anymore. Livy took my arm and shook it. Hey, don't say that. I'm sure he'll appear soon. No one can stay away from their mates for a long time. I hope so, I sighed. If his wolf form was that beautiful, his human form must be just as beautiful. I was looking forward to meeting him. Hopefully, he could make me forget all the pain Hayden had caused. Why the gloomy face? Ethan asked as I reached the Mooncrest Pack after my shopping spree with Olivia. Ethan, I hesitated to tell him. But he was my brother. I always shared everything with him. I met my second chance mate. He looked surprised hearing my words. Isn't that a good thing? He hasn't shown up to meet me, and I can't find any information about him. My heart fell again at the thought that my second chance mate might not want me. Come here. Ethan opened up his arms, and I gladly stepped forward, feeling instantly comforted by our familial bond. Lottie, he started to stroke my back. Maybe he's busy at the moment and doesn't have the time to search for you yet. You know mates can't stay away from each other. His words were similar to Livy's, and I knew they were telling me the truth. I had experienced it with Hayden. Even though he never cared for me, he always returned to our room and held me close when he was sleeping. And now I felt it too. I wanted to be close to my new mate. He must feel the same way too. This was the result of the mate bond. Once we found our mate, we would want to stay close to each other. Our scents alone could comfort each other. Hayden used to be like that too. Whenever he was stressed, he would hold me just to take in my scent and then leave after he calmed down. So don't feel sad, all right? Who doesn't want a beautiful, strong female alpha other than that moron? Ethan took a jab at Hayden. I chuckle, hearing him call Hayden a moron. Hey, I just remember. He pulled back a little to look at me. There will be a birthday banquet at the Alpha King's castle in 2 days' time. You should come with me, Lottie. Many important werewolves will be there, even those from other continents. Who knows if your mate will be there too. I was going to reject, but hearing there might be a chance I might be able to meet my mate, I agreed to go with him. Is it the Alpha King's birthday? It must be if the invitations were spread out even to other continents. Nope. He grinned as he deliberately didn't tell me the identity of the birthday person. Not the Alpha King? My brows shot up in surprise. Then who? Who could have a grand birthday banquet at the Alpha King's palace? It must be someone as important as the Alpha King. Guess. Ethan kept grinning. He was obviously enjoying my confusion. A strong alpha from another continent, maybe? But why would they throw a birthday banquet far from their home? No matter how hard I racked my brain, no one as important as the Alpha King appeared in my mind. Finally, I shook my head in defeat. I couldn't think of the identity of the person. Tell me. Ethan's grin grew even more mischievous before revealing the person's identity. The Alpha Prince. My eyes widened in disbelief and shock. The Alpha Prince? I nearly shrieked out the words. Ethan laughed out loud. I know, right? I nearly forgot we had an Alpha Prince since he seldom appeared in public. He didn't even attend the Alpha meeting last time. Even not many werewolves knew his name. His name is Theodore Elsher, and he's kinda a recluse, which is why not many people have seen him. He prefers to be alone, Ethan explained. Then why is he having a grand birthday banquet? I was doubting Ethan's words. If he really preferred to be alone, then why invite so many werewolves? Ethan laughed out loud again. The prince didn't want it, but the king insisted on it, so he had no choice. Poor him. I shook my head helplessly as I imagined how awkward and annoyed the prince must be feeling. Why pity him? Wouldn't it be fun to watch how a recluse will behave when surrounded by so many people? Ethan once again smiled mischievously. I rolled my eyes at him. I never realized that my brother was the type of man who loved to laugh at others' misfortunes. Have you seen him? I became curious about this prince of werewolves. A few times only. My duty is to protect the king. The prince has other guards especially dedicated to him. I nodded in understanding. Since Ethan was the head guard, he would be protecting the king. There will be many noble werewolves present, so other than it might give you a chance to meet your new mate. You can also make new friends. It'll be good for you and the Mooncrest Pack. Ethan started to persuade me to attend the prince's birthday banquet again. When he put it that way, how could I refuse? All right, but don't leave me alone there, I warned him with narrowed eyes. He was on holiday and would be there as a guest, not as the king's guard. Of course, I knew my request was a bit unreasonable. No matter what, he would always protect the king, especially if they were within close proximity. He nodded his head fervently with a huge grin, like a puppy who had just been given treats. Though I'm sure you'll be the one leaving me alone, he teased me. I laughed. Of course, I'll leave you alone if I meet my mate there. The thought of meeting my mate alone was more than enough to get me excited. 2 days later, we arrived at the Alpha King's palace, and Ethan directly ushered me in without showing an invitation. The benefit of being the head guard of the king, I thought in amusement. When we stepped inside the ballroom, I was shocked. Instead of the usual white/gold decoration, the ballroom was now transformed into something that reminded me of a starry night. No more white/gold pieces. Everything was midnight blue and silver. It gave out a mysterious vibe, yet was still so elegant. And this increased my longing to see my mate. Midnight blue fur, silver eyes. I could never get his wolf's magnificent image out of my mind. Wow. I let out a breath of amazement. Suitable color choice for a hermit, Ethan said in a very soft voice, only for my ears. Aren't you afraid of offending the prince? He blatantly just called the prince a hermit. That's why it's for your ears only. He winked at me and pulled me forward. Let's greet the king first. The Alpha King was surrounded by many alphas, standing near a 5-tier wedding-like cake, with the same colors as the rest of the decorations. I stared at it with amusement, and an image of a sulking grown man cutting the cake popped into my mind, making me giggle. Ethan stared at me curiously, but I just shook my head, not wanting to explain. "Ethan!" The Alpha King called my brother's name warmly, as he noticed us coming toward him. "Alpha O'Dare." Ethan bent his body a little while I curtsy. "You came, and you brought your sister along. Welcome, Alpha Charlotte." And just like last time, the Alpha King brought my hand to his lips, kissing the back gently before releasing it. I felt so awkward as I knew no one had ever received this treatment from the king. "You seem to be taken by my sister, Alpha O'Dare," Ethan said, and a hint of teasing was heard in his tone. "She's the only female alpha in the world." "You know I respect powerful people, Ethan," Alpha O'Dare smiled. "I know," Ethan laughed. I watched in amusement as they conversed. Ethan and the Alpha King seemed to have a good relationship, not like a king and his guard, but more like friends, despite their age difference and, of course, rank. But I felt happy for Ethan. "So, where's the birthday boy?" Ethan craned his neck and looked around. Alpha O'Dare let out a helpless sigh. "You know how he is. He promised to come out only during the cake-cutting time." Suddenly, a familiar, refreshing scent hit my nostril. My body tensed a little before I heard Lexi's excited voice. "Mate, he is here." "Mate is here." Yes, that sea breeze scent. The same scent we smelled from our second chance mate that night. He really was here. "Alpha O'Dare, please excuse me." I dared to interrupt the Alpha King's conversation with Ethan as I wanted to search for my mate. "Lottie, what happened?" Ethan mind-linked me, seeing my impatience and excitement. "Mate is here. I need to find him," I replied through the mind link. He grinned broadly. "Go. I'll make an excuse to the Alpha King for your rudeness." "Thank you." Fortunately, Alpha O'Dare wasn't angry. He waved his hand with a smile to dismiss me as he returned to conversing with Ethan. I turned back and quickly made my way through the crowd, following my mate's scent, not even caring if I bumped into anyone else. There was only one thing on my mind right now: to see him. My second chance mate. My steps faltered to a stop as I saw a man descending the luxurious staircases. Mate, that was him. My breath caught in my throat, and my heart started pounding. He was breathtakingly handsome in a midnight blue double-breasted pinstripe suit that perfectly wrapped his tall, slender, yet muscular body. Dark hair and sharp eyes, with very unique eye-color light blue eyes that looked nearly silver, with a black outer ring and gold inner ring. Thick eyebrows, tall, straight nose, high cheekbones, thin, sexy lips, and sharp, chiseled jawline. While Hayden had an arrogant handsomeness, this man's handsomeness comes from his cold yet noble and elegant aura. He was simply perfect. He stopped and seemed to have realized that I was there too, as I saw him sniff the air before his gaze locked with mine. A slow, seductive smile formed on his handsome face as he made his way toward me. While he wasn't smiling, he looked like an ice prince. But when he smiled, he turned into a gentle yet alluring prince. I was sure everyone could hear my heartbeat, which nearly threatened to leap out of my chest with each step he took, coming closer toward me. He finally stopped 2 steps away from me. I had to crane my neck to see his face due to his towering height of what I assumed was 6 feet 5 inches. I saw the joy in his eyes that reflected my heart. I couldn't believe I finally met him. I had thought that the night we met and found out he was my second chance mate was just an illusion. I thought I wouldn't be able to meet him again after not being able to find him, despite putting in so much effort for the past few days. But here he was, standing right in front of me, looking as majestic as his wolf. I finally found you, I whispered out. His hand moved toward my face, and I didn't try to dodge it. We were looking at each other with mixed emotions, curiosity, happiness, disbelief, and longing. I saw a blur of movement before his hand could touch my face, and someone appeared on our left, right in the middle of us, shattering our sweet moment. Hayden? I was stunned to see him. What was he doing here? Why did he always appear suddenly out of nowhere and keep following me like a ghost? I was annoyed by his presence. Why couldn't he just keep his distance away from me? Was our last encounter not convincing enough to tell him I wanted nothing to do with him anymore? When had he become so shameless and thick-skinned? Prince Theodore, Hayden greeted the man while his eyes were locked on me. I became even more annoyed. Did Hayden not know the basic principles of etiquette and respect? How could he greet the Alpha Prince without looking at him? But his words shocked me. He actually knew the identity of my new mate? I didn't know my second-chance mate was actually Alpha Prince. I should have realized it if I had thought about the color theme of the banquet. Wasn't it the same color as his wolf? Hayden, what do you want? I narrowed my eyes at him and folded my hand across my body, showing him my impatience and annoyance. Yes, what do you want, Alpha Hayden? His tone was calm, but the sharpness and the dangerous glint in his piercing blue eyes would have cut through Hayden if looks could really kill. Why are you disturbing my time with my mate? My heart skipped a beat. He was already calling me as his mate in front of someone else. Unfortunately, he said it to Hayden. Remembering how Hayden reacted when I lied to him about Nate being my second-chance mate, I knew trouble would only come next. Prince Theodore, you should know about my relationship with Charlotte, Hayden said as he finally turned to look at my mate with a serious expression. I frowned. His words sounded ambiguous. It was like I was still in a relationship with him. My mate still looked calm, but a hint of surprise flashing through his gorgeous eyes. The relationship between you and my mate? Pray tell, Alpha Hayden. Prince Theodore, you must have heard I was once Charlotte's mate. She used to be my Luna. Ignoring Hayden, I observed my mate's reaction to see how he felt about that information. To my relief, he didn't seem disgusted about the fact that I was a rejected she-wolf. My new mate even raised an eyebrow arrogantly at Hayden, as if to say, so? What has that got to do with me? You were her mate, but now I am hers. Prince Theodore, you should have known that we not only rejected each other but broke our mate bond too, Hayden continued. I rolled my eyes. What was the use of him telling my new mate this? Was he hinting that I did something despicable so he had to break our mate bond? Yes. I remember the gossip from the palace maids. I wasn't one to care for gossip, but your words made me think about it. My new mate smiled lightly. I heard there was an alpha of a powerful pack who mistreated his mate and chose his sister-in-law instead. The said alpha must be you then. Am I right, Alpha Hayden? Wow. Simply wow. My new mate didn't care about humiliating Hayden, much to my satisfaction. Now I respected and admired him even more. I couldn't stop the snort that sounded from my throat. If he didn't care about Sofia, then what could his behavior toward me be called? Hayden looked even more embarrassed and awkward. I sneered. Why did he make it sound like I was the one who had been bugging him shamelessly? Hayden had really turned disgusting. He even wanted to smear my name in front of my new mate. That arrogant look appeared on my mate's perfect face again. So, you are both alphas of powerful packs. It wouldn't be strange for you to still be in contact with each other. You misunderstood, Prince Theodore. We didn't spend time with each other discussing pack matters. Oh, goddess. I really wanted to punch Hayden right now. Shameless. He was shameless. He purposely wanted my mate to misunderstand our relationship. I should have seen this coming. He asked me to reject Nate before. He was the one who didn't want me, yet he didn't allow me to have a new mate? His cruelty was beyond my imagination. He wouldn't allow me to be happy, not when I was his mate or with another man. He simply didn't want me to be happy. I thought that was already cruel for him, but his following words, although I should have expected it, still hurt and angered me. Prince Theodore, I think it'll be best for you to reject her. After all, someone in your position shouldn't have a mate who is still in contact with her previous mate. It would be scandalous and wouldn't look good for the Alpha King, yourself, and ethereal Crown Pack's reputation. Hayden, the shameless bastard, said all those words as if he was righteous. Prince Theodore, you will be the next Alpha King. Would your pack accept such a Luna? Please think carefully about this. The most logical and beneficial thing to do is to reject her. Surely you wouldn't want to tarnish the ethereal crown's reputation just because you chose to claim someone like her as your mate. Why did I keep blushing and feeling shy around this new mate of mine? Maybe it was his deep, husky voice that always seemed to have a seductive lilt with each word he uttered to me. Or maybe because of the way his touches managed to send pleasurable tingles down my body. Even him just rubbing his thumbs across the back of my hands felt so good. This was a different experience than when I was with Hayden. I was never shy. Not even I first had sex with him. Yes, I acted like a weak and timid she-wolf, but never a shy one. I was the one who kept trying to cling to him and touch him. But this new mate of mine, he could easily make me blush like a teenage girl. I felt him gently tug my hand and pull me forward. Let me introduce you to my father. I froze on my spot. He wanted to introduce me to the Alpha King as his mate? Weren't things going too fast? As much as I felt something for him and wanted to be with him, I was still skeptical about being introduced as his mate this soon. Yes, I already regarded him as my mate, but to accept him totally as my mate was a different matter. He seemed to sense my hesitation and stopped pulling me. What's the matter, Charlotte? He asked with concern. Prince Theodore. I think I need time. As you know, my last mateship ended badly, and it kind of destroyed my belief in the mate bond. So, can I have some time to think about this? Will it be okay with you? I looked down, not daring to see his gorgeous silverish blue eyes in case he couldn't accept my request, and became angry with me. You are scared that I will reject you in the future and feel the pain again, he whispered softly with a gentle gaze. I nodded. If the Alpha King knew about our mateship, he probably would ask us to mark and claim each other as mates as soon as possible. If it happened, there would be no turning back. What if he met someone else one day and chose the she-wolf over me? What if what happened with Hayden happened again? The mate bond couldn't guarantee that our relationship would be loving for all our lives, or that it would be strong enough for us to go through everything together. Even a thing as simple as love, which should come together with a mate bond, wasn't guaranteed to be present, and I had learned it the hard way. I used to believe that mates would fall in love with each other naturally because of the mate bond. But what happened during my mateship with Hayden? Not only did I not receive any love and care, but I had to suffer at the hands of his family and pack members. So what was the point of the mate bond? To trap the other party into a loveless marriage? To be used only as a sexual partner? No matter what the reason the moon goddess created the mate bond for, my view on it had shifted. I no longer believed that mate bonds were good. I was too happy when I met Hayden that I didn't even give us time to know each other. But now, I filter my head up to look at the Alpha Prince. But now I need to take it slow. As they said, once bitten, twice shy. I would be foolish not to learn anything from my past experience. Charlotte, I understand. After knowing of your past, I had already thought to take it slow with you. But I was careless to want to introduce you to my dad. It didn't occur to me that by telling my dad, it was equal to telling him that we have accepted each other as mates," he said gently. And his thumb stroked the back of my hand again, reassuring yet at the same time comforting me. "Of course, I'll give you enough time to consider our mateship. I will wait for you. You don't have to worry about it. In time, I hope you can feel my sincerity and that I'm different than your previous mate." I was so moved by his words it nearly drove me to tears. This was the first time I felt an understanding, gentleness, and willingness to comprise from my mate. Even though he was the alpha prince, he was willing to wait for me. This was a fresh change from having mated with the arrogant Hayden. "Thank you, Prince Theodore." I smiled gratefully at him and squeezed his hand, showing him how thankful I was for his understanding. "Call me Theo, Charlotte. I liked it when you called me Theo before." The slow, seductive smile appeared on his face again, which sent that pleasurable tingles down my body again, and I felt my cheeks heated up. Goddess, if he kept showing me that smile, I might jump him and have my way with him soon. "Then you can call me Lottie Theo," I blurted out and blushed again. I had never allowed those who weren't close to me to call me by that nickname, but I felt that Theo deserved it. Not only did he save me from the rogues, but he also didn't force me to be claimed by him soon. Lottie. My name rolled off his tongue as if he was testing how it would sound coming from his mouth, and by Goddess, it felt as if I had just been seduced. I like the sound of it. His smile grew wider, showing his perfectly straight white teeth, and he winked at me. If I was any other she-wolves, I might have swooned being attacked by that alluring smile and wink of his. For the rest of the banquet, we mostly chatted together about some light topics. He was considerate enough not to ask me about my past with Hayden, which I appreciated greatly. He wanted to hand me a piece of his birthday cake personally, but since he knew I didn't want others to know about our mateship yet, he respected my choice and treated me like any other guest. When the banquet ended, he was still standing with the Alpha King and was surrounded by many noble werewolves. "Lottie, I'm sorry, but I can't go back with you. The Alpha King needs to talk to me about the rogue issues." "Don't worry about it. I can go back alone," I assured him. "All right. Here's the key to the car. Be careful on the road, okay?" He rubbed my head dotingly. "I will. I'll see you at home." I waved at him, and he disappeared into some part of the castle. I bid my goodbyes to the Alpha King and my mate. My mate wanted to send me home, but I shook my head, not agreeing to it, and he could only sigh and smile helplessly, because he was still surrounded by many well-wishers. I turned toward the ballroom grand door when I felt my wrist being grabbed forcefully. Snapping my head sideways, I should have expected Hayden to be the one making this kind of move. "What do you want, Hayden?" I asked him the question that Goddess knew how many times I had asked. He was getting more and more shameless and unreasonable. His expression was dark, and he growled out a question. "How you accepted Theodore as your mate?" I should have known he would ask this question. Did he really not want me to be happy with someone else? "That's none of your business," I snorted. Out of the corners of my eyes, I saw Sofia glaring at me. "Funny how you denied caring for Sofia, but brought her here with you. If everything you'd done for Sofia couldn't be considered escar, then I guess I was really a worthless trash in your eyes," I sneered sarcastically at him. "Go to your precious Sofia, lest she slanders me as being a shameless slut again." I shook off Hayden's hand and left quickly, not giving him any chance to retort. Walking toward Ethan's parked car, I felt like hating myself. Theo was such a perfect mate, but why couldn't I bring myself to accept him straight away? Why couldn't I accept him like I accepted Hayden last time? I didn't hesitate to accept Hayden even going against my family and friends just to be his mate. But now, I couldn't accept someone who was much better than Hayden. I hated myself for that. It's not your fault, Charlotte. You were traumatized. It's only natural for you to hesitate. Lexi tried to comfort me. I know. Thanks, Lexi. Still, even when I first met Hayden, he was cold, and yet I didn't hesitate. Now I met someone gentle. I should have been able to accept him immediately. And here I was, hesitating about it. Shouldn't I feel happy that I found a gentle second-chance mate and accepted him right away? I let out a sigh. Trauma. The moment we arrived at the Moon Crest Pack, I saw my dad and Nate standing at the infirmary's entrance. I quickly went down and went to my dad and Nate. Nate, please help the driver to bring Hayden inside and treat his wound. I instructed him, as I pointed toward the car where Hayden was still lying weakly and injured. I saw a flash of resentment in his eyes. He didn't look that happy that I had brought Hayden back to the Moon Crest Pack. I understood that he hated Hayden because of what he did to me. But a patient was still a patient. And fortunately, Nate had the same thought as me. He went to the car to help the driver bring Hayden into one of the wards. Lottie, you are also injured. My dad saw me limping and supported me to follow them. Yes, Dad. But compared to Hayden's injuries, I'm fine. Just suffered some scrapes, a dislocated shoulder that I'd relocated, and a twisted ankle, I assured him. What in the world happened to you and Hayden? My dad asked as we walked slowly toward Hayden's ward. I summarized what had happened quickly, and as could be expected, my dad's expression darkened. That Sofia is too much. I have to deal with her. How dare she plot against my precious daughter in such a vicious way? And I have to talk to Hayden about this, Dad growled. I sighed helplessly. Dad, don't do anything. I'll deal with it myself. Lottie, you are not alone anymore. You now have your pack members who can help you deal with troubles. You don't have to do everything alone, my dad said softly. I know, Dad, and I'm thankful for it. But if I don't deal with her personally, where's the fun in that? It seemed to injure her with wolfsbane didn't make her regret her actions. Instead, it made her turn more vicious. I need to deal with her alone, or she would think I'm easy to deal with. And about Hayden, I thought of how loving he was towards Sofia. Don't tell him anything. It will be useless. He won't believe us anyway. Wasn't that the reason we broke our matebond? Because he believed Sofia more than he believed me. All right. But remember, you are not alone now, okay, Lottie? My dad rubbed my head dotingly. I remember, Dad. If I need help, you'll be the first person I'll go to. I grinned at him. He chuckled, and we kept going to Hayden's ward. By the time we arrived, Nate was already working on Hayden's injuries. Most of the wounds had healed and been cleaned, and he didn't look as pale as before. There were only 3 deep wounds that hadn't been healed yet, 3 long gashes along his well-defined abdomen and a deep bite mark on his arm. Even some of the flesh around it had been torn off. Nate was roughly cleaning the wounds on Hayden's chest, and Hayden glared at him. What? Can't stand a little pain? Nate mocked Hayden. Hayden pursed his lips and turned his head sideways. Nate, be gentler, I said softly. He's hurt because of me. If it weren't for that reason, I would let Nate treat him roughly. Nate looked unhappy, but his movements did become gentler after my reminder. After he finished cleaning the wounds, he took out a bottle of ointment. I had never seen that kind of ointment before. It had a strange color, and when he opened the lid, it gave off an awful odor. Nate, what kind of ointment is that? Can it really cure wounds? I eyed the ointment doubtfully. Don't worry, Lottie. I created this ointment myself. It's really effective for wounds like these. He began applying the ointment to the gashes and bite marks. Miraculous, a few moments later, the wounds became better. I could see the skins began to regenerate. It wouldn't take long before Hayden's wounds would heal perfectly. Nate was really an excellent doctor to be able to create such a potent ointment. I saw Hayden's face become pale once again, and sweat started forming on his forehead. He must be in terrible pain with such deep wounds. I wanted to go to him and comfort him, but persuaded myself not to pity him or do it, even though he was in this state because of me. He might think I still cared about him if I showed him more concern, and would shamelessly pester me again. I wouldn't want that to happen. I already found my second chance mate. It wouldn't be good to keep in contact with my ex-mate. Suddenly, I heard Leo's voice through the mind link. "Lottie, are you at the Mooncrest Pack?" "Yes. I'm at the infirmary, in one of the wards. Hayden got injured because of me, so I brought him here, and Nate is treating him." "Is there anything wrong?" I asked him through the mind link. "No, but I need to see you." "I'll go to the infirmary now," he said, and closed the mind link. "Lottie, Nate came to me and checked my body." "You silly girl, why didn't you tell me about your dislocated shoulder and twisted ankle?" He sat me down on the chair next to Hayden's bed and knelt in front of me, taking my foot gently, placing it on his knee, and began rubbing ointment on my swollen ankle. Fortunately, my shoulder healed after I relocated it back. As Nate was massaging my swollen ankle, the door to the ward opened, and Leo appeared with a beautiful bouquet of flowers with a doting smile. I was stunned. Did he think I was seriously injured and visited me with a bouquet of flowers? Somehow I felt the atmosphere in the room changed. Nate had stopped massaging my ankle and was glaring at Leo, and Hayden did the same too. I rolled my eyes inwardly. Why did they seem unhappy that Leo gave me flowers? He was my beta, and it wasn't strange for him to give me flowers if he thought I was seriously injured and visited me in the infirmary. It was customary to bring flowers or fruits when visiting a patient. "Leo, why did you bring me flowers?" "I'm not that seriously injured. But thank you, though. It's beautiful." I smiled to lighten up the mood in the ward. Leo came to me and gave me the beautiful bouquet as he looked at me sheepishly. I took the bouquet and brought it to my nose to breathe in the scent of the flowers. "It wasn't from me," he said awkwardly. "Not from you?" I was surprised. Who would give me such a beautiful bouquet? "It was from the Alpha Prince," he explained. "A messenger from the palace just delivered it and asked me to give it to you as soon as possible." My lips curled into a smile. Abu, my new mate, was so sweet. I had asked him to give me time, and instead of getting angry, he had begun spoiling me. I felt moved and touched. This was the first time I received something from a mate. Hayden had never given me anything. Well, except for that exquisite jadeite bracelet that he shattered into pieces in the end. He just gave me an unlimited black card and asked me to buy anything I wanted using that card. Being given a gift and asking me to buy and choose things myself was two different things. How I had longed for Hayden to give me anything, even just a bunch of cheap flowers. But of course, he always disappointed me. So to be given such a beautiful bouquet, of course, made me very happy, even giddy. I wished I could mind link him to thank him and tell him how much I loved the bouquet. Unfortunately, we hadn't claimed each other as mates, so we couldn't mind link each other yet. "Is the Alpha Prince your second chance mate?" Leo asked me. I nodded with a smile. "Yes, but don't tell anyone yet, okay? We still need time to get to know each other before we tell everyone." Suddenly, I heard a snort coming from beside me. A card fell to the bed when Charlotte accepted the bouquet from Leo. I picked it up, saw a beautiful handwriting, and read the card's content. "To my dearest mate, Lottie. A beautiful woman deserves beautiful things. For now, I could only give you a bouquet of flowers. I hope it can bring a smile to your gorgeous face. I can't wait to be claimed by you and spoil you with many more beautiful things in the future. Sincerely yours, Theo. Such cheesy words. And he even called her Lottie, while Charlotte never asked me to call her by that name. I felt so jealous and angry that I let out a snort unconsciously, which attracted the attention of everyone in the room. I handed the card to Charlotte, and her smile grew wider, and her expression turned gentle. I was dazed looking at her smile. She looked so radiant and beautiful. Her whole face seemed to glow with happiness. I regretted never giving her flowers or anything when we were mated. If I had, I would be the recipient of her radiant smile. Thinking back, she always smiled at me whenever she saw me, but it was a different kind of smile. It was like a smile of expectation and anticipation, but I always brushed her off, and her smile always disappeared, replaced by sadness. I was really such a bastard to her. Looking at her smiling because of Theodore, I felt annoyed, and jealousy spread through my heart again. I didn't want to see her happy because of someone else. I purposely let out a groan and cough to get her attention. I had to hide my smile when she turned to look at me with concern in her eyes. Yep, she should only focus on and care for me. Hayden. She came to me with a worried look and offered me a glass of water, which brought back memories of when we were still together. Stupid me for not realizing what a good mate she was. I took the glass and drank the water happily. I'm sorry for causing you to be like this. She cast her eyes down, not daring to meet my eyes. I sighed. I didn't want her to feel guilty. It was my own idea to save you. You don't have to feel guilty. But she looked at my wounds, and a flash of memory came to mind. I was injured once, and we took care of me gently. How I wished I could go back in time and feel her care again. No buts. Don't worry, I won't die from wounds like this. I smiled at her to comfort her. She glared at me. Don't ever say the word I in front of me. Do you think I want you to die because of me? Oh. She misunderstood my words, but looking at her glaring face made me somewhat happy. She still cared about me. She didn't want me to die. She was even worried and stroked my head when we were in the car. And I just realized she looked cute when she was mad because of her worry. Okay. I won't say it anymore. I nodded in assurance. I'd agree with everything she said as long as it could make her happy. I saw Nate rolling his eyes at me, but I didn't fucking care. Ever since I found out that she only treated him as a friend, I didn't really care about him. Yes, I was still jealous of their close friendship. But if Lottie really liked him, they would have ended up together years ago, even before she met me. So he wasn't really a threat to me. Lottie, his wounds have nearly recovered. It'll be best to send him back to his pack so he can recuperate there with the care of his loved ones, he said sarcastically. But I want to stay here. I want to stay at the Mooncrest pack, I insisted. I still don't feel too good. I'm not yet fully recovered. Charlotte, are you willing to send an injured man away? I deliberately showed her a sad and disappointed look. Yeah, I was a scheming bastard. But so what? I wanted to spend more time with her, and I'd use every excuse I could think of to stay here. At least let me stay here until I recover fully, okay? What if the wounds opened up? My pack's doctor wouldn't be able to help. I kept trying to find excuses so she would let me stay here. Charlotte looked at Leo and Nate. I knew they were unhappy. They didn't want me to be near Charlotte, which made Charlotte hesitate. Charlotte, I pretended to sound weak. You know I'd never suffered such severe injuries. Please let me stay here, okay? I won't get in your way. I just want to recuperate peacefully. If I go back, I'll be swamped with work, and I'm afraid I won't be able to recover as fast as if I stay here. I lied. Oh, how I lied. Of course, I wouldn't stay still in the room. The point for me to stay here was to get close to her, so how could I not get in her way? She still looked hesitant and looked as if she was in a dilemma, while Leo and Nate were glaring at me. With the way they glared at me, I would have died 1,000 times if looks could really kill. I know you are not a heartless woman, Charlotte. Then I quickly added, there's another reason for me to stay here. Other reason? She furrowed her eyebrows, which made me want to reach out and smooth it out. But of course, I couldn't. She would throw me out without hesitation if she knew my real reason for staying there. Yes, I nodded and explained. I want to know you as the alpha of the Mooncrest pack. I also want to look around and see your pack. As you know, the Alpha King wants all the powerful packs to cooperate, especially regarding the rogue issues. It will be good if I can understand more about you and the Mooncrest pack. My heart was pounding as I waited for her reply. Using the Alpha King and cooperation between our packs were my biggest excuse. If it didn't work, I had to think of another reason quickly. She was quiet for some time, and my mind began thinking of other excuses. No matter what, I needed to stay here. Since I was injured and able to enter her pack, I would not leave or give up easily. As I was still racking my brain for excuses, I heard Charlotte let out a sigh. My breath seemed to be stuck in my chest. Was she finally allowing me to stay, or would she ask me to leave? All right, Hayden. You can stay here, she finally said. You were injured because you saved me. It's my responsibility to make sure you fully recover. And you are right. It'll be good for you to check out the Mooncrest pack for our future cooperation. You can see how our pack works. I could hardly contain the joy in my heart, and tried hard to purse my lips so my lips wouldn't lift into a smile. Thank you, Charlotte. I know you are a responsible woman and alpha. The Mooncrest pack is fortunate to have an alpha like you, I said earnestly. She looked at me as if I had grown another head, but I didn't fucking care. Yeah, I was a hypocrite. Not long ago, I accused her of not being a responsible alpha for not wanting to discuss the pack's issues with me. But now my words were sincere. Despite her hating me, she still put the pack's interest first. Although me saving her did have a massive part in her decision, but it still showed that she was a responsible woman and alpha. As I'd told her, all right, you rest first. I'll visit you later, she said, then left my room with her 2 pursuers. Once the door was closed, I finally let myself smile. I wanted to jump for joy, but my wounds were still hurting. Damn that Nate, for giving me such an ointment. It was effective as my wounds had started to recover, but it fucking hurt when it touched my wounds. That was his way of showing his displeasure and jealousy, huh? He wasn't as nice as Charlotte thought he was. But no matter, I now had time to be with Charlotte, or at least see her every day. I was still the winner, I smirked. She used to love me so much. I'd make sure she fell in love with me again and reject that damn alpha prince. I felt irritated and annoyed. It had been a week since I stayed at the Mooncrest pack, yet my plan to get closer to Charlotte seemed to be in vain. She seldom came to my ward and checked on me. Pretending to still be weak and injured didn't really seem to work anymore. My wounds had mostly recovered, and staying in the ward felt damn boring. Finally, I decided to look around and tour the Mooncrest pack, as per my excuse to stay here. To say that I was shocked and amazed by the Mooncrest pack was an understatement. All the members were polite, and I could see they had a very close-knit friendship amongst all the members. The pack ground itself was much bigger than the Red Claw pack, with lots of fantastic facilities. Each house had a beautiful vegetable or fruit garden, and their irrigation system was one I had never seen. I didn't know they grew their own vegetables and fruits. But looking at those fresh vegetables and fruits, the pack members must have done a great job at it. I stepped into a dome-like building, and a pack member who worked there as staff explained that it was a planetarium, a place where the pack members could learn about astronomy and see the stars' alignments. I had never seen or heard of such a place before, so I was piqued and asked if I could experience it, and the staff didn't hesitate to show me. By the end of the session, I was almost dazed by how brilliant the experience was. I thanked the staff and continued touring the pack. I went to the training ground and saw some warriors were training. Their training was brutal, but no one complained. They even looked excited and joyful, even though they were obviously dead tired. No wonder they were the second strongest pack on this continent. I kept wandering around and noticed a few modern-looking houses with floor-to-ceiling glass as their walls or windows. This was also my first time seeing such a modern design. The more I walked around, the more amazed I became. Their facilities were beyond my imagination. There were so many innovative facilities I had never even seen or heard before. I saw Charlotte standing not far away from me, surrounded by some of her pack members. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but they looked serious. After some time, the atmosphere around them lightened, and they began laughing. They didn't look like alpha and pack members. They looked like friends, but no one could mistake the awe and respect each pack member had for Charlotte. I saw a little boy and girl scrambling toward Charlotte. The little boy handed Charlotte some fruits, while the little girl gave her some candies. Charlotte smiled gently and rubbed their heads affectionately, making the little boy and girl beam with joy. I felt warmed by the scene. If we had children, she would be a perfect mother. Unfortunately, we didn't have any, and I kind of regretted it. I shouldn't have used protection every time we had sex, but there was no use for regret. Hey, you are the patient alpha Charlotte brought, right? A pack member suddenly appeared next to me. I nodded in answer. Most of the Mooncrest pack members didn't know I was the alpha of the Red Claw pack. Alpha Charlotte is so amazing, he gushed. You might not know this, but I saw you've been looking around the pack and must have noticed all the amazing facilities, right? Yes. Who made them? I asked curiously. Of course it's Alpha Charlotte, he said, and puffed out his chest proudly. Even the training schedules and modules were developed by her for each level of warriors. I was stunned. Charlotte was the one who built and made those amazing facilities? She was that amazing? I looked at her again, still talking and laughing with the pack members. The number of members surrounding her had grown. It was apparent she was popular as their alpha. Seeing the scene, I had a very complex emotion. I was one who always put work matters above everything else, not caring about relationships or mate bonds. As I'd told her, I claimed her as my mate because she was my destined mate and my pack needed a Luna. I had never tried to get to know her. Every time she tried to talk to me, I always brushed her off because, for me, she was an annoyance, and it would be a waste of time to indulge her. After seeing all her brilliant ideas around the Mooncrest pack, I regretted not trying to know more about her. If I had, I was sure my pack would have thrived, and I would have treated her as she should be treated as the Luna of the Red Claw pack. Putting work above everything else? Rhett suddenly snorted. Don't you remember how many times Sofia cried and used the excuse of feeling lonely and missing your brother? What did you do each time it happened? You abandoned your work and even important meetings to rush to her and comfort her. Rhett's words only intensified my regret and guilt toward Charlotte. I was so stupid to think I should take care of and protect the woman my brother loved. It's not stupid to take care of your brother's widow, but you went over the line and treated her like a mate, making everyone misunderstand your relationship with her. Who in this world would do anything for his brother's widow and abandon his mate except for someone as idiotic as you? Rhett mocked. I couldn't refute his words since everything he said was true. Hey, are you feeling better? Another pack member joined us. Yes, I am. Thank you for asking, I answered him politely, as he was Charlotte's pack member, and I wanted to leave a good impression on them. He saw my line of sight and sighed wistfully. Alpha Charlotte is really beautiful and amazing, isn't she? We are glad she decided to come back and take over the pack. When she left us 3 years ago, we were all devastated. But we heard she found her mate, so we could only feel happy for her. But I heard she was treated badly by that mate of hers. Her mate never loved her and didn't care for her. She was even asked to kneel and apologize to the mistress. No matter what happened, the mate shouldn't ask her to kneel. He might as well have slapped her in the face. It was a disrespect to a Luna to kneel and beg for forgiveness from a pack member, much less a mistress. The just-arrived pack member suddenly turned angry. And you know what's funny? The other member added, I heard that the mistress deliberately framed Alpha Charlotte, and her ex-mate believed the ex-mate believed the mistress even though there was evidence proving it. Yes, he is such a joke. How could her ex-mate treat a she-wolf as kind, compassionate, and amazing as Alpha Charlotte like that? Alpha Charlotte has been doted on her life by her father, brother, and even we, the pack members, dote on her too. I hope the moon goddess will send Alpha Charlotte a second chance mate who will treasure and cherish her. The second member spike excitedly. You are right. All of us love Alpha Charlotte. She treats everyone equally. No Omegas in this pack have ever been mistreated. We should respect each other. That's Alpha Charlotte's rule. Someone as kind as her deserves to be happy. The first member sighed. I stood there feeling awkward and embarrassed. Here I was, trying to make a good impression on them, yet they already knew what I did to Charlotte and thought I didn't deserve her. And the worst part, I couldn't refute them, just like I couldn't refute Rhett's words. I felt more and more regretful for not treating Charlotte as a mate should. Alpha, I heard Noah's voice through the mind link. Speak. I wanted him to go straight to the point so he wouldn't disturb my time here. The rogues we captured. We finally broke them down, and they told us the truth behind that attack. The truth behind the attack. I looked at Charlotte, who was now in the company of Olivia, her best friend. I didn't want to leave. Not now, not ever. I hadn't even had time to converse with her. I wanted to stay by her side and know more about her. But I knew the rogue issue was important, and I had to return to the Red Claw Pack to hear the truth from them and deal with it. Although I was reluctant to leave, I couldn't stay anymore. I wanted to say goodbye to her, but not wanting to disturb her at the same time. So, I turned to the 2 pack members who had been speaking to me. I need to go back to my pack. There's an important issue I need to deal with. Please tell Aloha Charlotte about this. And please express my gratitude for her hospitality these past few days. Okay. They nodded in understanding. Don't worry, we'll tell her. Be safe on your way back. I looked at Charlotte for one last time before turning to leave. A bitter feeling rose in my heart. Even her pack members were polite and courteous to an unknown guest. This showed that Charlotte had managed her pack members well. How I wished she was still my Luna, the Luna of the Red Claw Pack. It's been a week since I brought Hayden back. I purposely didn't check on him too often because I knew his wounds were recovering nicely. From the way the wounds are healing, it wouldn't take long for him to recover fully. Maybe he wanted to check the Mooncrest pack, as he had said. And true to his words and my guess, I saw him walking around the pack grounds. I knew he would notice all the improvements I had made for the Mooncrest pack. As I was surrounded by my pack members and discussing about some of the new facilities that I had just proposed, and they were going to build, I saw Hayden standing at a distance and kept his deep gaze on me. But he didn't come and disturb me. He just stared at me from a distance. Looking at him staring at me intently gave me a complex feeling. He had never looked at me with such intensity when we were mated, yet his focus was solely on me this time. I tried to ignore him and focused on my pack members' questions. Soon, our conversations turned into lighter topics, and we began joking and laughing. A small little boy and girl joined us, giving me fruits and candies. This was a daily occurrence. I taught them how to plant vegetables and fruits in their gardens, and they would give me some of their harvests. I, of course, received them gratefully, and Runner the cute little girl and boy. I really loved children. Unfortunately, Hayden never wanted to have children with me. I saw him conversing with two of my pack members, but felt his gaze turn to amazement as he looked at me again. No matter how I tried to ignore his gaze, it was impossible. It was too intense, and I felt like his gaze bored deep into my heart, which was quite unnerving. Shar, I saw Olivia coming toward me as she waved her hand. The crowd around me, noticing it was Olivia, my best friend, who was approaching us, quickly dispersed, giving us privacy to talk. Shar, I noticed that Hayden had been staring at you for some time. Olivia glanced in Hayden's direction. He's been staying here for the past few days, right? Do you think he wants you back? She nudged my arm with her elbow, her eyes filled with mischievousness. I rolled my eyes at her. He was just recuperating here. I had to let him stay because he got injured because of me. I'm sure you've heard about it. And he also wanted to look around the pack so he knew how the Mooncrest pack worked. It'll be good for our cooperation in the future. Livy snickered, and I raised my eyebrow at her. You know that's just excuses so he could spend time with you, she insisted cutely. I'd thought about it, but he never bothered me at all during his stay here. Like just now, he didn't approach me, but kept his distance away. So Livy's words were invalid. What if he's going to beg you to get back together with him? Liv teased me. I shook my head. I knew Hayden. He's the arrogant type with a huge ego. He would never beg someone, especially someone who he had rejected and never cared for while we were married. Livy opened her mouth to refute me, but I quickly added, Livy, you know I've found my second chance mate, and I have my own pack to lead now. It would be impossible for me and him to be together even if he begged me. I won't get back together with him. I could still feel his intense gaze. I didn't know what was on his mind, and it was somehow terrifying. I saw him talk to my two pack members who had been chatting with him before he turned to leave. My two pack members came to me and told me Hayden needed to go back to his pack to take care of an important matter, and that he thanked me for allowing him to stay here for the past few days. I thanked my members for delivering the message, not even wanting to know what kind of important matter Hayden needed to take care of at his pack. Shar, let's go shopping. Livy took my hand and pulled me toward her car before I could refuse. This girl loved shopping so much that I wondered if she actually wore all the clothes, shoes, bags, and everything else she had bought. I thought we were going to the largest mall like last time, but to my surprise, Livy chose a small shopping complex. This shopping complex only had 10 or so stores, but they were all exclusive, luxurious branded goods. They have stores at the mall too, but the stuff they sold here differed from those at the mall. They only displayed and carried limited edition stuff here, and we needed to be a VIP to be able to enter this shopping complex. Since Livy and I were VVIP customers, the staff quickly asked the security guards to block the entries so they could serve us exclusively. I wasn't in the mood to shop, but Livy insisted I try every beautiful dress, shoe, bag, and jewelry on display. I could only shake my head helplessly and indulged her to make her happy. After trying so many clothes and everything else in one of the stores, we ended up buying quite a number of dresses. But before we could pay for them, we heard a commotion from the entrance of the shopping complex. We turned our heads to look at what was happening, only to see Sofia and her best friend, Lucy, barraging into the shopping complex while shouting at the security guards that she was the Luna of the Red Claw Pack. Hearing the name Red Claw Pack, the staff and security guards didn't dare to stop them. Luna of the Red Claw Pack? Did Hayden return to his pack earlier to claim Sofia as his mate? That was the important issue? Livy sneered with disgust. The moment they saw us, they came into the store and started ridiculing me. Charlotte, you are so poor, you can only rely on your sugar daddy to pay for you. I watched her in amusement. Did she think she could slander me here? All the staff knew of my identity. She was only making a joke out of herself. Sofia and Lucy then turned toward the cashier, who was processing our orders. Pack all the dresses they have picked and every dress they have tried on, and give them to me. They are too poor, they won't be able to afford your clothes, Sofia mocked Livy and me. Livy was already burning with rage and was about to defend me, but I stopped her. I knew Sofia was trying to annoy me since we didn't even have the same dress size. But let's see who got the last laugh. I turned toward the SA and smiled. Pack the clothes for her. I'm happy to let her buy all the clothes we want. Oh, here. Let me help you pack them after you have scanned the barcode. The SA looked embarrassed, having to serve someone as rude as Sofia, but she began scanning the barcode. Sofia laughed in a self-satisfied manner. Charlotte, I know you won't be able to afford them. That's why you let me buy them, right? You are such a coward for not even daring to compete with me. I kept quiet but had a mocking smile on my face. After the SA finished scanning all the barcodes, she looked at Sofia hesitantly. Miss, are you sure you want to buy all the dresses they have tried on? Sofia looked annoyed that the SA was questioning her. Of course. I've said I'll buy them, haven't I? Why? You don't want to sell them to me, but are willing to sell to this slut? She pointed her index finger at me. Miss, you do know that everything here is a limited edition piece, don't you? The SA seemed to want to make sure that Sofia knew how expensive each dress was. Sofia rolled her eyes and smiled at the SA. Of course I know. Give me the receipt. The SA was hesitant, but, in the end, printed the receipt and gave it to Sofia. When Sofia saw the amount on the receipt, her face grew pale. If she knew, then she should know that each dress cost at least $300, which was the cheapest. The ones Livy and I had chosen cost more than $500 each, and with more than 20 pieces that we had chosen, not including those we had tried on, but didn't want to buy. You could imagine how high the bill was. It should be nearly $100 million in total since we tried on so many dresses. Looking at Sofia's expression, Lucy was confused, so she took a peek at the receipt, and her face lost color too. Seeing Sofia's pale face brought a smirk to my face. Take that, bitch! I thought to myself. She thought she was richer than me? Even if Hayden gave her money, I didn't think he would allow her to buy dresses that cost nearly $100 million in total. Sofia's face turned into resentment. It was apparent she was unwilling to pay. I turned toward the SA and smiled. Hi, can you lend me a pair of scissors? Charlotte, what are you doing? Are you going to cut the dresses so I'll pay for damaged goods? I can sue you and the store, she yelled with anger and disbelief. The SA gave me a pair of scissors, and I began cutting the price tag on each dress. You are wrong, Sofia. How could I have the heart to destroy such pretty dresses? I just want to help you cut the price tags so you don't have to do it yourself. It'll save you the trouble. You can wear them straight away without worrying about getting rid of the tags, I told her without looking at her. Once I had finished cutting all the tags, I turned to look at her, and as expected, she looked like she wanted to kill me, but my move made her speechless. I purposely cut off all the tags so she wouldn't be able to return those dresses and get a refund, and she knew it. Livy had a gleeful expression as she realized what I had done. Sofia reluctantly gave her card to the SA to process the payment with a sour face. I wanted to laugh out loud and mock her, But instead, I smiled sweetly and praised her. Sofia, you are truly rich. She glared daggers at me, but I kept smiling. Revenge felt sweet. But this was only a small form of revenge. I had yet to get back at her about her cooperation with the rogues. Just wait, Sofia. Just wait until you feel the same way I did during that time, helpless and afraid. Well, I looked around the store. Since Sofia had nearly emptied the store, I guess there is nothing we can buy her anymore. Alpha Charlotte, Miss Olivia, we will send you a new catalog once more dresses arrive. The SA quickly informed Livy and me, in a polite manner. All right, we'll wait for the new collection, I told the SA. Sofia's expression turned even uglier. She, who called herself as the Luna of the Red Claw Pack, was greeted only as Miss without her name, while the SA called me Alpha Charlotte, and even Olivia was called Miss Olivia. And after spending so much, the SA didn't even offer to let her know when the new dresses would arrive. Non-VIP wanted to challenge a VVIP. Even the staff knew who were the more important customers and who were richer. The joke was on Sofia. She and Mila. They only knew to call me poor, slut, bitch, sugar baby. Didn't they know any other way to mock someone without using those words? It seemed like they didn't have high IQs. Livy, let's go to the sea bags in the store next door. I tugged her hand and looked at the fuming Sofia. Sofia, Lucy, do come with us. Maybe we have similar tastes in clothes and bags, since you like all the dresses Livy and I have tried on, and even brought all of them. Of course, we'll be willing to let you buy the bags we like if you really want them, just like the dresses. I said all those words with a super sweet smile. As expected, Sofia's face turned red in anger and yelled, Charlotte, don't think you've won. Remember, you are just a rejected she-wolf. Hayden will always choose me instead of you. I rolled my eyes at her. And remember that I was the one who asked for a divorce and dissolving the matebond. So, technically, Hayden was the one rejected by me, and you actually are the one who picked up my trash. You. I'll tell Hayden you said he is a trash. She pointed at me with trembling fingers. Yeah. That's all you can do, pretending to be weak and pitiful and shedding some tears to gain sympathy. Do you think that's hard to do? I can even do it now. Livy's eyes turned red and teary. She tugged my sleeve and said in a pitiful voice, Char, Sofia bullied me. You have to help me. I nearly laughed out loud, looking at Livy's perfect impression of Sofia. I played along with her. Don't worry, Livy. With me here, no one will dare to bully you. I'll, of course, help you to scold the person. Livy wiped her teary eyes and snorted. It's so easy to do. Only someone as stupid as Hayden will fall for your trick. But the question is, how long until he realizes your true nature? No one can keep acting. Sooner or later, you'll slip up. I think he already realized how shameless you were when you rubbed your tits against his arms last time. I could sense his disgust. Sofia's face kept changing color, pale, red, green, then red again. The topic was getting boring, so I tugged at Livy's hand, signaling to her that it was enough. I glanced at Sofia and Lucy. So, are you guys coming? Dream on, Charlotte. I know you just want to show off and deliberately made me waste my money. Sofia yelled that pulled Lucy away from us. Why did she keep using Hayden's name? Does she think you are still in love with him? Imagine when she knows that your new mate is the Alpha Prince. She'll most probably die due to jealousy. Livy laughed. How can Hayden compare to the Alpha Prince? Stupid Sofia thinks there is no one better than Hayden in this world. Let's go. I don't want to talk about Sofia anymore. You should buy more bags since you didn't get to buy those dresses. I pulled her toward the bag store next door, and her eyes lit up. It was so easy to make her forget everything. Just mention shopping with her, and she'd focus on the beautiful things in front of her. By the time Livy finished going through all the stores, we had many bags on our hands. Livy suggested we go for a walk before returning to the Mooncrest Pack, and I agreed with her. We put all the shopping bags in her car before walking down the road. Char, I feel so happy that you are starting to fight back against Sofia. I like this version of you. I like you being this strong she-wolf who won't take bullshits from others. She was brimming with joy and pride for me. I rubbed her head. I won't take any more bullshit from anyone else. Don't worry. That's my girl. She looped her arms around mine, and we strolled leisurely along the walkway, which was lined up with stores. We were chatting about anything and everything when suddenly Livy stopped. Livy, what's wrong? I asked with confusion. She didn't reply but kept looking into the store we had just walked past. She hurriedly pulled me back toward the store and pointed to the mannequin. Char, that dress is so pretty. It will suit your skin tone so much, and it's cute too. Then she dragged me toward the store's door. A bell jingled as she opened the door, letting the SA know a customer was in the shop. I looked around and noticed the store carried mostly summer items, summer dresses, sunglasses, beach bags, sandals, big floppy hats, bikinis, and pretty accessories that suit the summer theme. Hello, ladies. Welcome to the store. The SA greeted us politely and professionally. Hi, can we try that dress in her size? Livy pointed to the mannequin and then to me. Of course. Please follow me. The SA led us to the changing area, which had sofas and cute little cakes ready for the customers. Please wait a moment while I get the dress, and do enjoy the cakes. Would you prefer coffee or tea while waiting? She asked. We opted for tea, and she left. Another SA soon appeared with 2 cups of tea before the first SA came back with my dress. I picked the dress and saw that it was indeed a pretty and cute summer dress. The material is cotton lace. It was white in color and had cute tiny sleeves, and the length would reach my thighs, with it being a mini dress. It literally screamed pretty, cute, flirty, and fun. Buy it, Char. You know you look good in summer dresses. This one will suit you a lot, Livy urged me. You can wear it the next time you have a date with your alpha prince, she teased. I thought about her words. Since it's summer now, and I really love summer dresses, I might as well buy it. We went to the cashier, and just as I was about to pay, a refreshing scent of sea breeze filled my nostril, and a deliciously deep and husky voice sounded from behind us. Let me pay it for you, the deep, husky voice that sent tingles down my body said. Before I could decline his offer, he had already given the cashier to card, and the cashier had processed the order. Why don't you try it on now, my Lottie? Theo suggested with that seductive smile of his. Hearing him call me his Lottie made me blush, so I quickly went to the changing room to hide my blushing face. As Livy had said, the dress suited me a lot. It made me look younger and fresher than those formal dresses. And since it was just a casual day with Livy, I had only put on light makeup. I went out of the changing room shyly. I didn't know if Theo would like this kind of dress, since he obviously was used to seeing ladies in more formal clothing. Theo looked at me dazedly before his eyes lit up. Lottie, you look amazing. You look even more beautiful than the last time I saw you. This dress brings out your youthfulness, he praised me, making me blush again. Lottie, you are simply beautiful and stunning. I'm lucky the moon goddess chose you as my mate. Livy came to me and whispered in a very low and soft voice, only for my ear. The alpha prince is so handsome. And he's generous, whether in spelling you with money or praising you. He's definitely better than Hayden. He is a perfect match for you. I blushed again and took a glance at Theo. Today he wore a tailor-made black suit that hugged his tall body perfectly, showing off his long and slender legs, paired with a white shirt underneath with a few buttons undone, giving me a glimpse of his sexy collarbones and fair chest. He looked more casual yet sexier than in the formal suit he wore during his birthday banquet. Gentle, noble, yet sexy. A lethal combination, I thought to myself. I'd like to invite my beautiful mate and her pretty friend to dinner, he said. The seductive lilt in his voice and smile even made Olivia blush. I shook my head helplessly. My new mate was too charming and irresistible. Hayden never could make Livy blush, but here she was, blushing like a schoolgirl. I didn't know whether to feel happy or worried about having such a charming mate. I looked at my watch and realized it was nearing dinner time. I should have known going shopping with Olivia always took a whole day. Livy blinked at me meaningfully. Oh, thank you for the offer, Alpha Prince, but I just received a mind link from my dad. He wants to have dinner with me. I had to hold back from rolling my eyes at her blatant lie. I need to go now, but Charlotte has nothing to do, so the two of you should go have dinner together. She hugged me and whispered the word enjoy mischievously. She then turned toward Theo and bid him goodbye. Shall we? Theo asked as soon as Olivia left the store. I looked at him again and at my dress. Dinner with him must be in a high-class restaurant, and my dress would be too informal. Wait a moment, I told him, and went to take a simple thin black belt with a gold buckle, black outerwear with gold lining, and a pair of dangling gold earrings. After Theo, again, paid for the stuff, I quickly put them on, turning the flirty and fun dress into something more formal and elegant. Fortunately, I was wearing heels, so it helped in completing the look. Wow, Lottie. I didn't know you could turn something simple into something elegant by just adding a few extra touches. You look even more stunning. He kept praising me. And the way he looked at me with admiration was not something I had ever expected from him. After all, he was the Alpha Prince and must have seen many beautiful she-wolves, but he was admiring me now, which made me blush. Again. Let's go, I urged him to go to the restaurant, or my head would blow up soon from the way he kept praising me. As expected, he brought me to an expensive Italian dinner. We were led to a private room, and he offered the menu to me first. I picked out a few dishes we could share together before giving the menu to him. He didn't add anything. He only chose the wine that paired nicely with the dishes I had chosen. During dinner, he was really gentle and considerate. There were olives on the pizza I had chosen, but since I disliked olives, I always picked them off the pizza, and he noticed it. Every time he put a piece of pizza on my plate, there were no olives there. I saw the olives piled up on his plate, which warmed my heart. Even Lexi purred in approval. But what surprised me most was that he was talkative. I thought he was the type who loved to keep to himself, so hearing him talking and asking lots of questions was kind of surprising. We talked about a lot of stuff. He asked about the Mooncrest pack, how it felt to be the first and only female alpha in the world, and how it felt to lead the second most powerful pack, whether I had difficulties or not. We also talked about our family. The atmosphere of the dinner was relaxing. We had a great time together. It made me feel closer to him, since now we know more about each other. But somehow, despite the relaxing atmosphere, enjoyable time, and delicious dinner, I still felt nervous. Maybe because I'd never gone on a date before? Or perhaps because I was still scared of jumping into a relationship quickly? Honestly, the thought of starting a new relationship, as much as I wanted it, was a scary thought for me. I was scared of being betrayed again. Time seemed to fly fast when I was with him. By the time we finished our dinner, it was already quite late. I looked at my watch and saw it was already 9 p.m. Well, I dabbed the corners of my lips with a napkin after I finished my glass of wine. Thank you for the delicious dinner and lovely time, Theo. I smiled at him, but it's getting late now. I think I should go back to the Mooncrest pack. I'm sure you need to go back to the ethereal crown pack too. You have to have stuff to do as the Alpha Prince, don't you? I already took up too much of your time, and I'm sorry if I've disturbed any plans you might have tonight. I looked at him when I didn't hear his reply. His gaze was tender and loving, which made my heart skip a beat. He reached out and took my hand in his. Lottie. There's actually an auction going on tonight. It's held to help raise funds for border construction. I'd like you to go with me as my female companion if you are willing to be one. I was touched that he didn't ask me to go as his mate. He still considered my feelings and thoughts of not wanting to let anyone know about our mateship yet. But an auction, though. I frowned as I looked at my dress. An auction was usually a formal event, especially one that was held to raise funds. My dress would be too informal to attend such an event. Don't worry, Lottie. You look elegant, and you've made your dress look less casual, he said, as if he could read my mind. Furthermore, he continued, I'm the Alpha Prince. Who would dare to chase out my girl just because of her dress? He winked at me. His words and wink made me laugh. I didn't know he could be cocky too. With him putting it that way, and the fact that I love to help raise funds, I couldn't say no to him. So, I finally agreed to go with him. Border construction? I asked as he was driving us toward the auction place. I was surprised once again when I saw he drove by himself, and there were no guards around him. But knowing he's the Alpha Prince, there must be hidden guards following us. Yes, he nodded as he kept his eyes on the road. We are going to strengthen some of the borders so the rogues would not enter easily. The rogues are getting bolder and bolder. How is the palace going to deal with it besides strengthening the border? I asked with curiosity. He finally stopped the car and turned to look at me. That, my dear, Lottie, would be a discussion for the next time we meet. For now, let's help raise the funds we need for the border construction. I looked outside the car window and realized we had arrived at one of the most expensive hotels on the continent. That was why Theo had stopped the car. Looking at the Grand Hotel, the auction must be a huge event. Why I didn't receive an invitation to such an event was puzzling, but I didn't want to think too much about it. Wait here. Theo got off the car first and circled around to open the door for me. Oh, thank you. I smiled at him. This is what I should do as your mate, he smiled gently. I blushed again. How did I deserve a mate as kind, gentle, and considerate as him? Maybe because the moon goddess had mercy on me. Perhaps she knew she had mated me with the wrong alpha before. So now she kindly gave me a second chance mate who was 180 degrees different than Hayden. We walked toward the auction hall side by side. Before we entered the hall, Theo offered me his arm like a true gentleman. Place your hand on my arm, my dearest mate. And guess what? Yup. I blushed again. I didn't know what kind of power he had to make me blush so easily. I looped my arm with his and rested my hand on it. As we entered the auction hall, we were stopped by someone who I assumed was Theo's acquaintance. Prince Theodore, it's a pleasant surprise to see you, he greeted Theo, then turned to look at me. And you brought a lady along. May I know who she is? Theo smiled and opened his mouth. She's my mom. I panicked. Was he going to tell everyone that we were mates? Didn't he say I'd be accompanying him as a female partner? Did he change his mind? Did he forget my words that I need time to think about our mateship? Fortunately, before he could finish his word, someone interjected. Prince Theodore, I didn't know you'll be coming. I always thought you liked to keep to yourself. I recognized that voice and the sarcasm. I turned around to see Hayden, much to my surprise. Looking at him, I wanted to ask if he had fully recovered, but I held my question back. It would be inappropriate to ask in front of Theo, and judging from the way he was able to attend the auction, he should have recovered fully. Alpha Hayden. It's nice to see you here. Theo was still smiling gently, but his gaze had turned sharp. Please excuse us. The auction is about to start, and we should be in our seats by now, Theo said politely, and grabbed my hand, pulling me gently toward the VIP seat. I saw Hayden's burning gaze was focused on our hands, and his anger was apparent in his eyes and aura. There were many noble werewolves present, and the items up for auction were of high quality, ranging from antiques to jewelry, and the nobles had been generous in their bids. The next item on the lot was a beautiful diamond bracelet donated by the Peach Blossom Jewelry. It immediately garnered everyone's attention, especially when the price started at $10 million. It could be considered cheap, given that it was a design from the Peach Blossom Jewelry. Many people bid on the bracelet, including Hayden. No matter how much the last person offered, he would always increase it by $1 million, while the increment was only $500,000. When the price of the bracelet came to a whopping $60 million, suddenly Theo raised his bidding pad and said in a lazy but clear voice, $65 million. Everyone was shocked. He raised the price by $5 million at once. Hayden seemed to want the bracelet so much, or he didn't want to lose to Theo. He increased his bid by exactly $5 million too, just like Theo. Theo then offered to add another $5 million, and Hayden followed. This created a buzz amongst the crowd. The others had given up and were now watching the two men bidding against each other with excitement. The two men seemed to have no intention to stop bidding until the price reached $150 million when Theo stopped bidding, and Hayden won the lot. $150 million for a piece of jewelry from the exclusive Peach Blossom Jewelry was not something unusual, but the bracelet shouldn't cost that much. It then clicked on me that Theo had played a trick on Hayden. I laughed and whispered to him, I didn't know you could be scheming, Prince Theo. You purposely increased the bid without intending to get the bracelet, didn't you? You wanted to make Hayden spend a lot of money? Your idea of having fun is unique. The thought that Hayden was cheated of money by Theo somehow made me happy. To be honest, Lottie, I didn't do it for fun. After knowing how he treated you in the past, to make him lose money was just a small price for him to pay. I did this for you. It was all to please my future Luna. Luna Charlotte. His words and the way he smiled, that gentle yet seductive smile of his, managed to make me blush yet again. Thank you, Theo. I smiled sweetly at him. How sweet was this mate of mine. He even helped take revenge for me without even using any kind of violence. He was just too perfect for me. There were still a few items up for auction, but I didn't pay much attention to them anymore. My mind was filled with the man sitting next to me. Theo bid for a very expensive antique painting, while Hayden didn't bid for anything else. At the end of the auction, those who won the bid were called to pay and collect their items. Theo and I stood up and went to the payment area when we encountered Hayden. I was surprised to see Max was also there with him. Max was smiling happily at me, thinking of the way he apologized at the bar last time, and his happy smile now. It seemed his apologies were truly genuine. So I gave him a brief nod in greeting. After everyone made their payments and received their items, Theo stirred me toward Hayden, which kind of surprised me. Alpha Hayden, thank you for giving me a chance to make my future Luna happy, Theo said gently. But everyone should know he was mocking Hayden. Max's eyes widened when he heard Theo refer to me as his future Luna. Hayden seemed confused for a while, until I saw a realization dawn in his eyes. He finally discovered that Theo had been pulling a trick on him during the auction, and that thought brought a smile to my face again. Hayden's expression instantly turned sullen. But out of my expectation, instead of being angry and picking a fight with Theo, he turned to look straight into my eyes. Even if I was tricked into spending too much money, as long as it can make you happy, then it's enough for me. He didn't give me or Theo a chance to say anything to his words. He quickly turned around and left the venue, with Max following him hurriedly. My mood, which was joyful before, changed instantly. Somehow, hearing his words and seeing him being sullen, gloomy, and the hurt in his eyes made me feel bad. I felt like the revenge Theo had helped me take against him seemed like a bad move, as it seemed to hurt Hayden so much, and I couldn't feel happy anymore. It was only a small amount of money for him. Why would he feel hurt? Was it because it was Theo who cheated him? Shouldn't he feel angry instead of hurt? And what did he mean by as long as it could make me happy? Then it was enough for him? Why would he say things like that? Lottie? I didn't realize I was frowning and still looking in the direction where Hayden had left. I quickly looked at my watch as I felt awkward being caught by my new mate while thinking about my ex-mate. The auction lasted longer than I had anticipated, and it was nearly midnight now. Theo, it's really late now. I feel tired and need to go home. I didn't apologize to him because I felt if I apologized, it would make it more awkward, as apologizing indirectly told him that I really had been thinking about my ex-mate. I pretended that Hayden's words and hurt look didn't affect me at all. He pushed his sleeve up slightly to reveal his expensive, limited edition watch. I'm sorry, Lottie. I didn't know the auction would go for so long. Let me take you home, he said, pretending not to notice that I had been staring at my ex-mate. Thank goddess for that. I nodded absent-mindedly as he took my hand and pulled me toward his car. Pretending was, after all, still pretending. In truth, I still couldn't shake the hurtful look I saw in Hayden's eyes. It made me feel hurt, too. I tried to shake the feeling off, telling myself repeatedly that I had sworn to myself Hayden wouldn't be able to hurt me anymore, that whatever he did would not affect me, that him being sorrowful was just an act. Yet that hurt in his eyes tonight. The pain felt too real. It was so strong and made me feel like my heart was being pricked by an invisible needle. The drive back to the Mooncrest Pack was silent. The moment I entered Theo's car and put on the seatbelt, I leaned back and closed my eyes, pretending to be asleep. My mind and heart were in a mess because of Hayden, and I was in no mood to talk to anyone. I hoped Theo didn't suspect anything, because if he knew what I was thinking or feeling, it wouldn't be good for us, and it would be unfair to him. I didn't want to anger or make him misunderstand my relationship with Hayden, or even my feelings for him. I had nothing to do with Hayden anymore. I didn't have any feelings for Hayden anymore. I repeated those words in my mind, trying to hypnotize myself to stop thinking about what happened with Hayden tonight. Soon, I felt the car stop and felt Theo's hand on my shoulder, shaking it gently to wake me up. Lottie, we are here. I opened my eyes slowly, blinking and looking dazed, pretending to just have been woken up. Oh, sorry, Theo. I must have fallen asleep. I lied and hoped the guilt of lying to my mate didn't show. It's fine, Lottie. It was my fault to have taken you out until so late at night, he said softly with a gentle gaze. Looking at him being gentle only increased my guilt, so I looked outside the window and saw the Mooncrest Pack's main house. Theo, can you drive a little further down the road? I have my own house, and tonight I feel like sleeping there, I asked him. As I was in no mood to talk to anyone, it was better if I slept alone and not at the Pack's main house. You have your own house? Theo asked in surprise as he started driving again. It wasn't surprising that he was surprised. Usually, Alpha, Beta, and Gamma lived at the Pack's main house. Yeah, I've been wanting to move but haven't gotten the time yet, I replied as I was giving him directions to the house. Wow, he breathed out as we reached my house. It was one of the few modern architecture houses in the area with floor-to-ceiling windows. It looks different. He looked in awe at the house. I designed it, I said with a proud smile. His sharp eyes widened slightly. You designed it? Yup. I loved the house, and so far, no one had bad things to say about the design. He shook his head and chuckled. Lottie, you are really amazing. It's very fortunate for me to have a mate as extraordinary as you. My cheeks and heart warmed hearing his words. His hand reached toward my face, and his palm cupped my cheek. A gentle smile graced his face, but it changed into lust when his eyes darted to my lips. He leaned forward and my heart began pounding. But it wasn't because I was anticipating the kiss. It was because I was panicking. I quickly placed my palms on his chest, stopping him from leaning forward further. Theo, I'm sorry, but let's take it slow, okay? If we are really fated to be together, we can wait for the right moment for our first kiss, I quickly told him. He didn't bother to hide the disappointment on his face, but it only lasted for a few seconds before his gentle smile reappeared. I understand. I'm sorry to have acted rashly, Lottie. I can wait for you. I will wait for you to accept me. There was sincerity in his gentle gaze, and I let out a breath of relief. He got off the car before opening my door and walked me to the door. Good night, Lottie, he said gently as he pulled me into his arms and placed a kiss on the crown of my head. I hesitated to hug him back. I felt terrible for not letting him kiss me, but his gentleness showed that he wasn't bothered about it much. In the end, I circled my arms around his waist, returning his hug. Thank you for tonight, Theo. I released him and took a step back. Good night. Go on. I'll go after you enter the house, he urged me with a little gentle push. Okay. Drive safely, I smiled at him, turned around to unlock the door, and entered the house. Once I closed the door behind me, I leaned back against it, listening to Theo's movements. He stood still for some time before I heard his footsteps receding, and the sound of his car driving away. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding in and slid to the floor. Why did I panic when he wanted to kiss me? Wasn't that what I wanted? To be touched and kissed by my mate? So why did I hesitate and panic? I groaned. I hated myself. Was my trauma against a mate run too deeply? Charlotte, don't think too much about it. As you've told Theo, if you guys are fated to be together, then everything will flow naturally. You don't have to hate or blame yourself, Lexi comforted me. You're right, Lexi. I should just let it flow, I sighed. Got off the floor and strode toward my bedroom. After I had finished bathing, I went straight to bed, intending to sleep, when a notification beeped from my phone. I picked it up to see a message from Olivia. How did the date go? I quickly typed it went well, and that Theo brought me to the auction after dinner. Char, I heard a rumor about what happened at the auction tonight. They said there was a bidding war between Hayden and Theo for a bracelet to win a she-wolf's heart. I've been wondering, are you the heroine they were fighting for? What the? Did the werewolves have nothing better to do than gossip about everything? And what kind of gossip was that? Theo was just helping me to cheat Hayden's money. Why did it become a rumor that they were fighting for a she-wolf's heart? And, Hayden, I smiled bitterly. I was sure he bid the bracelet for Sofia. Char? Oh my goddess, the rumor is true? They were fighting for you? I can't believe you are now caught between two men. Olivia's message popped on my screen before I could reply to her previous message. No, it has nothing to do with me. And Livy, remember, Hayden is my ex-mate. He's with Sofia now. I was never caught between two men. I quickly typed and sent the message to her. The next moment my phone rang, and it was from Olivia. I sighed before picking it up. Char, I don't think Hayden loves Sofia. I noticed he looked disgusted when she rubbed herself against his arm. Livy spoke before I could even say hello. Maybe because Aluna shouldn't do that in front of everyone. It was quite a shameless act. You know how much Hayden cares for his reputation, I answered indifferently. Livy harumphed. I don't believe it. I think he most probably regrets letting you go. If not, he wouldn't be bugging you around. I might have believed her if I didn't see the scene at the Red Claw Pack's infirmary the night I wanted to search for my bracelet. Livy, he loves her. You weren't there to witness how much he cared for her during our 3 years of marriage. But I saw it. It's impossible for Hayden to be disgusted with Sofia, I told her calmly. But he might regret it now, Olivia said stubbornly, and it made me speechless. Char, if Hayden is really regretting everything and realizes that he loves you now, you will be caught between 2 men. Who will you choose between the 2 of them? My mouth hung open due to speechlessness. Livy had quite a rich imagination. Didn't you say that Theo is better than Hayden and he's a better match for me? I teased her. Yes, but you were so in love with Hayden. If he changes and keeps trying, you might fall for him again. She still stubbornly argued with me. Livy, the 3 years I spent with him were traumatic. I've told you before that it's impossible between us anymore, I told her firmly. She became quiet after hearing my firm answer. So, how far along have you as Theo gone? Have you guys kissed? Livy suddenly changed the topic, which made me speechless again. Livy, it's nearly 2 a.m. and I'm dead tired. There is still so much work I need to do tomorrow, and I need to sleep now. You need to sleep too. So I'll hang up the phone now, okay? Good night. I quickly hung up the phone and put it on silent mode before she could say anything further. I rubbed my temples. Livy really loved to gossip. If I didn't stop her, I wouldn't get any sleep. I closed my eyes and drifted off to sleep easily because of my emotional exhaustion. The next morning, when I was in the Pack's main house, Leo came to my study. Lottie, you have a guest, he informed me. Who? I asked without looking up from the document I was reading. Alpha Marcus, he said, which made my head snap up to see him.